Hey guys, so I am going to approach the door and press the intercom and request to see my doctor, who is Dr. Roy Yip. I will be recording the response and to ensure my safety, and we'll let you know how it all goes. So here's the recording, guys. Okay, can everyone see? All right. All right. As I said, they speak Cantonese, and they don't seem to understand that when I say I don't speak Chinese, I don't understand Chinese, I don't understand the uh, ethno-linguistics and the resulting incomprehensibility within that um, that understanding of that framework. They don't seem to comprehend that, right? It I have tried to explain it multiple times. They don't seem to understand English. They don't seem to operate in a fashion that you or I would understand to be normal or representative of sort of normal functioning behavior. They don't. Their English comprehension is quite low. It's almost at what we would understand to be grade school level, and you know, as everyone knows, I graduated university multiple times, so their English being at grade school level, it's every time I ask for something, just not even opening my mouth, right? No, I just and as I said, that was recorded. Went to the intercom, I pressed it. I didn't even ask for anything, and they came up to me, and they started speaking Cantonese, and I was like, I don't understand you. They don't seem to understand that I don't understand them. It's like if it's like I got if this were Star Trek and I got beamed down to an alien world, and these like neo Paleolithic um, uh, uh, you know uh, semi morons were running around with spears, and I was in like on my ship or something with my phaser, and well, no, not phaser, but with my tricorder. These guys are like being idiotic, being semi-moronic, just not being able to understand simple things like, you know, I don't speak Chinese. It's not difficult to understand, is that? Is it? It's not a complex sentence. How maybe they don't understand the word understand, because once again, their level of English is what we would consider probably grade school level, and I'm even to be perfectly honest, even grade school level is pretty advanced for them, right? Because our schools are that good. Um, and so yeah, I mean, I'll try just to show you guys, right? Just to show y'all, I'll try one more time, okay? I'll try one more time and see how it goes, okay? You guys ready? All right. as I said, their English is at like grade school level. Even when they, it's like they denigrate themselves just by existing. They don't seem to understand it, anything that is to it. I don't even know if they know numbers or like letters of the alphabet. It's that's you'd be surprised, right? You think an advanced economy but it would have people who understand complex language, who self-actualize, who've exceeded their own limitations, who've achieved success and who've really done something with themselves. But these people simply are worse than suboptimal. They're below. If we were in Star Trek, I mean, they'd be like, even Pockleds are better than them, because at least, well, they're probably like Pockleds, which would be the analogy. Pockleds have the intelligence of worse. They're less intelligent than canines. So as I said, my sort of earlier my earlier analysis was incorrect. Their English is probably at the level, not at grade school, not what we consider to be grade school, but probably at the level of what canines understand English to be. So very, very simple English, very, very simple, almost illiterate, almost incapable of articulating themselves in a competent, cogent, or comprehensible manner. So it is quite a bit of a situation. So I mean, let's go on. Let's go on to see what food stuff I bought on the sort of on Deliveroo and Uber Eats. So got some Coca-Cola, zero sugar. Now everyone knows what Coca-Cola is, right? It is an American brand. Now it was started sometime around the 1920s. Originally there was cocaine in it. Now cocaine is a stimulant. Back then, prior to sort of the criminalization of sort of certain what was called what are called narcotics. I'm not exactly sure what the U.S. term is. I think the U.S. term is narcotics, but a lot of that, to be perfectly honest, if you think about it, back in the 1920s, really, you had physicians who were prescribing medicinal cocaine as a form of for medicinal purposes, and that was a great thing, and unlike sort of certain other geodemographics. Certain other geodemographics really didn't have the intelligence to do so. So, or sort of the foresight to understand, oh wow, that's a great thing. It is a great thing because there are medicinal purposes for it, and there are indeed in the United States and in Australia and Canada, New Zealand, and anyway, this is Coca-Cola, and it does not have cocaine in it. I can say that. It really does not have cocaine in it. It's got some caffeine, so let's just enjoy some caffeine. All right. Yeah, that's some good caffeine. As one of my favorite Power Rangers would say, "Yippee-ki-yay, mother!" Right? Power Rangers don't swear. Remember that. I'm like, nah, I'm not a Power Ranger. That's, I'd want to be. It's morphin' time. Go, go, Power Rangers. So, yeah. Yeah, so, I got some other property. I had some fish earlier. It seems to be a form of what the locals call fish. The closest thing we'd have is sort of fish and chips with tartar sauce. You know, Aussie, Aussie, oi, oi, oi. And in Canada, we also have salmon and so forth. So we do have that form of fish. But yeah, this is what the locals call fish, or it's one form of fish. That's what the locals eat. Wanted to show you some McDonald's. So this is a local filet of fish. Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna unbox it. Look at that! Wow. It's got cheese, and I'm gonna put my Coca-Cola down, just carefully, because it's property, and I'll go through what property is at a later point. Anyway, so this is filet o fish, right? And it's got it's got some sauce. It's definitely not tartar sauce. Tartar sauce doesn't look like that. It's got a fillet. It's not very big. It's quite thin, and then it's got a piece of maybe I would assume cheddar cheese, but American cheddar cheese doesn't look like that either. It looks yeah, American cheddar cheese. Okay. So there's that. What is this? There's a pizza place that once again it's what the locals define as pizza. It's what we've got thin crust and stuffed crust and so forth, and obviously we've got sort of the classic Italian pizza, which best place to eat pizza to eat classic Italian pizza is in Italy, obviously, but stateside and Canada, Australia, New Zealand, you've got the chains. Domino's is pretty decent. And so, more salad. Looks awful. Who likes salad, right? Gotta maybe give it to the poor people out. Give it to the non-English, the people who don't speak English very well. Maybe give them some salad. So that's actually what I'm going to do. I'm gonna, I think it's a good thing. It's a compassionate thing to give them salad. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start packing the salad, and I'm gonna give it away because I don't know. They don't seem like they've been fed in a long time. Like chattel. Yeah, gotta feed them some salad. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna feed them some salad, and I'm gonna see, what is this? What the heck is this? Ooh, that is not good. Did I buy this? Yeah, I did. So I bought this from a wing store. Like Oh, it's mac and cheese. We all love we all know what mac and cheese is, right? Mac and cheese. Um, Mac and cheese is great. Yeah. Gonna try some of that later. Actually, I'm gonna have some of that now. I'm gonna have a bite of that, bite of mac and cheese now, and gonna save it for later. Mac and cheese is so yummy, eh? Love that mac and cheese. All right. So mac and cheese is an American classic, and this is sort of the local rendition of the American classic. So it's got some, well, macaroni, which doesn't really look like the American version. That's all right. And cheese, and sort of, I think on top, just some extra Parmesan. All right. So we're gonna try. And some what I assume to be, pepper or something else like that. So I'm gonna try that. Mac and cheese, American classic. American classic. Very good, mac and cheese. Okay. All right, moving on. Wow, that's all right. So another from Mac and Wings, American. It appears to be an American company, or what the locals deem to be American. And this is it's something with mushroom. I think it's a spaghetti dish, or no, it's penne with mushroom. So as you know, once again, it's a local twist on sort of Anglo-European cuisine. So, all right, let's just try some of the penne. So it's got some mushroom and penne. Well, not exactly penne. It's sort of it's the spiral one. It's not penne. It's not proper penne. Yeah, and the mushroom's great, and yeah, I'm gonna try some of the penne, or some of this, this spiral pasta is the best description I can give. All right, yeah, it's good. Try a bite of that. I'm gonna save that for later, because it's what the locals think is American cuisine, not or Anglo-European cuisine, not exactly, right? Not even close enough. So one thing I do appreciate, and that's pretty nice, they do have they did give me a recyclable fork, which is good, which is an indication that they're a little bit more advanced, a little bit more cultured, more educated, enlightened, right? All right, moving on. What else we got? All right, so as I said, I'm gonna. Oh, look at that! Oh, the eggs melted or something. All right, gonna give them to the poor folk outside, right? Poor people. Another salad. Oh, who wants salad? Gonna give that to the poor folk. Hope they eat it. I don't know. They might. I'm gonna give that to the poor folk. All right. Because compassion is a good thing. You want to give away salad to poor people, right? All right. Let's see. One more salad. Well, that looks like salsa. Green salsa, but what is this? Looks like bread. Now bread is good. We all know that bread is made with wheat, and it's harvested after harvesting. It just it turns into dough, and with the dough you make bread. And so bread is good. That's a good thing. This is what what butter is. It appears to be butter. It appears to be what we know as butter too. So that's butter. Yeah. That's also butter. So that's some more butter. That is salsa. So maybe we can give some salsa to the poor people. All right. Give some salsa to the poor people. Yeah. And what do we got here? More bread. Okay, so bread is good. All right. So we got plenty of bread. Okay, so once again, it's a good thing. It's compassionate. It's compassion to give to give salad to poor people. Okay, just hoping they eat it, hoping they don't waste the salad, because they're they're poor, and they have very few options in life. They're not very educated. They're not very articulate in languages like English or any European languages. So it's a good thing. It's compassionate. All right. So that is bread. Gonna put that bread right there. Gonna put my Coca-Cola right there. Okay. Oh, wowee, look, more salad. Gonna take out the serviettes. This is what we call serviettes. I might have to pee soon, but I'll leave the camera on. Gonna take out, just leave the forks in there. So this is more salad. Gonna give it to the poor people outside. Lots of poor people with no options. Oh gosh. Poor people, no options, no education, almost need to pee, but gotta make sure. Oh, there's a fish fillet burger. Gonna save that one for later. Fish fillet. Gonna give the McDonald's to the poor people, because I don't need that. Don't need the McDonald's. Gonna keep that. Okay. Gonna pee soon, so I'm just gonna put that there. So, how am I going to wash my hands? That is a good question. So I'm going to use a serviette. I have some, anyway, I have some wet wipes, but don't want to break them out because, you know, they're new, and I don't know. I don't know if them poor people have seen wet wipes before. What we have. We have apple scented wet wipes where we have apple scented where wet wipes where we come from. Okay, sure. All right. What the heck is that? Huh. More salad. So, I'm gonna give the salad to the poor people. Just gonna collect all the salad. That looks like cereal, or well, not cereal, not like not like muesli or you know or like all brand, not like muesli or all brand. So okay, looks like some. All right, so oh, this is a mess. What's in here? I'm gonna see if there's any. Oh, there's bread. So we got the bread. But it's not. It's white bread. Okay, so we got the bread. Oh no, there's egg in here. What am I supposed to do with that? Kind of can't give that to the poor people because there's fish in there. All right, so can't do that. There's language I don't understand. Might as well give the whole thing to them because they'll probably understand what this says. I'm going to put it all back and give it to the poor people because they'll probably understand what this means. All right. Yes. And where's the? I'm going to give them the salad too. Okay. Okay. All right. More Coke, which is, as everyone knows, is American. This is American drink, American creation, 1920s when they used to put cocaine in there. So I'm gonna have some. Gonna take that Coke out. Gonna put that there. What is this? Cuisine French Kitchen. That looks like Caesar. Another salad. Gotta throw that salad out, eh? Not throw it out, but it's compassionate to give it to poor people. So I'm gonna give that salad to poor people too. Actually, I'm gonna just gather everything up and then head out. There's China. I wonder what this is. in like a, what they call a hot dog. Oh, wow, okay, onion rings. Gonna give that to poor people too. You know, because, you know, maybe they've never tried onion rings before. Because, you know, it's but, you know, it seems like it's their version of onion rings. But yeah, gonna give them the onion rings. Oh no, this is a mess. It says Coke Zero. That's all I can read. What's that? Oh, that's slop. Okay. Well, I'm gonna take the bread out and put the bread there. That looks like a piece of, and I'm gonna take the butter out and put the butter there, and take the utensils out, put the utensils there. Okay, and all right, that's it. Okay, all right, just throwing all this out to the poor people. Giving out my food 'cause I'm so compassionate. Gonna give this food to poor people who have no options, no education, significant lack of capacity to speak English and or any other European language. Woo! All right, cool. All right, let us proceed to give the poor all these things. Oh, look, I left a bottle of Coke in there for, you know, just as a friendly surprise. You know, maybe, you know, they've never drank Coca-Cola before because, you know, it's an American sort of invention. Don't know what to do about this milk though. Yeah. Milk's a bit of a problem. Let me just take the bags out and take all the Coke out. Gonna take the bags out. Well, that does look like tartar sauce, but don't know. Not gonna have it. So I'm gonna put that in there. Well, can't have too much mac and cheese, right? Mac and cheese is an American classic. So that's cool. Mac and cheese. Okay. What do I do with the milk? Might as well throw it out. Ugh. Yep, it's bad. I mean, it's for poor people. Poor people. How do I write? Do they know letters? I don't know if they know the alphabet. So, for poor people is spelled F-O-R space P-O-O-R space P-E-O-P-L-E. So I need a big sign to put that out there. So they understand it's for poor people, which, I mean, they're poor. They might not know the word poor people because they're poor, because they don't have many options, because they're uneducated, because they've never exceeded or achieved anything uh, in their lives, and their complete anyway disappointments and yeah. So, um, well, I got, you know, gonna drink some more Coke. Um, mmm, Coke Zero. Whew, that was a, well, and one thing I've noticed, physical work really doesn't suit me. So that I would say was quite a bit of physical work. Um, just carrying that, you know, approximately 3 or so meters, three to three and three to 3.5 meters away. That was a bit of physical work, which you know I'm I mean, it's not that I'm not suited to physical work. It's that going to the gym is comfortable, right? Going to the gym is comfortable. That type of work just certainly it just doesn't suit me. You know, I'm a member of um, I'm a member of I'm a Hyatt member. I'm I'm a Silver Core member, or at least I was. That was pretty good. Um, so, and I've got other memberships, but yeah, it's not that I'm complaining. You know, I you know it's just that it doesn't suit me. So I mean, Coca-Cola is it's great. It's a great American invention. Look, back in the 1920s, doctors were prescribing medicinal cocaine, and it was for medicinal purposes, and it was great because they had the intelligence and foresight to understand. Oh wow, this is a great thing, and other sort of geodemographics didn't have that intelligence or foresight to understand why cocaine is so great, and um, of course, cocaine is now narcotics, but not everywhere. Uh, uh, there are some places where cocaine is legal. So yay, yay for freedom and democracy. Freedom and democracy prevails over um, over authoritarianism. Or if you want to make it more complex, anti-disestablishmentarianism. Wow, that's a great word. We'll talk about that word later, and you can come back and we can talk about that word later. We can deconstruct that word. We can try to understand its postmodern implications. It's the it's a neoliberal post neoliberal context or post constructivist context. What does it actually mean? What does it mean as an is it a construct? Can we is it what makes an anti-disestablishmentarian an anti-disestablishmentarian? What does? Should we look at biology, genetics, um, biology, shape of face, right? Facial hair, the the contours of the face. We always, the 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 magic formula, the symmetry of the face, right? Um, uh, uh, And we can really look at that, right? We can really, really look at that. I mean, just by looking at the face, even, and and we can break it down, looking at the voice, articulation, looking at the facial features, facial expressions, we can determine just with these things the histodemographic evolution or devolution of a subject as a result of as a result of how these features eventuated, right? So even through any form, even using these multifactorial indicators, we can compile this a type of indice. We can start scoring people, right? We can sort them out one by one, right? But what we should target, what we have a responsibility to specifically target are those, and as I've discussed, lack of contour, facial features, voice projection that results in deep and sharp expression. Yeah, that is certainly a warning sign, everyone, that the development or devolution has not exceeded the Neo-Paleolithic stage or even Paleolithic stage of development, and that is concerning. What do we do with these types of what do we call them? Sub-sapien? What do we do with these sub-sapiens? Do we put them underground and have them mine minerals for us? That seems to be, I mean, we can pay them. We can certainly pay them. Or how much should we pay them, right? Do they have those skill sets? Because mining minerals is quite an advanced skill set. You know, the use of machinery is quite advanced. The most compassionate option is to essentially have the government give them some form of financial welfare to stay home and just not bother the rest of society, for them to not essentially not exist to the rest of the world. I mean, that would be the most compassionate thing to do. They'd still be able to survive. They wouldn't have to be employed. They wouldn't have to work. They wouldn't have to they wouldn't have to appear in society. They'd still be compensated for their time for doing nothing, right? So, if you think about that, that is the most compassionate solution. And every now and then we can feed them salad. We can feed them salad and cereal or porridge. Anyway, this is Coca-Cola. It is an American invention, and it is certainly great. In the 1920s, doctors prescribed cocaine, medicinal cocaine for medicinal purposes, and it's great because they had the intelligence and the foresight to understand. Yeah, it's great medicinally, and that it can still be used today for medicinal purposes in certain localities, whereas other geodemographics did not have the intelligence or the foresight to understand that cocaine, it has medicinal purposes. So anyway, this is Coca-Cola, and it is Coca-Cola. I'm gonna have another one. And I'm gonna be gonna have another one, and maybe gonna have a bite of the fish stick. Not a fish dick, a fish stick. Yeah. Insert South Park reference, right? I don't want to piss If Kanye is watching this, I don't want to piss Kanye off. But it was a pretty funny episode, and I'm sure, if I get to be that great, I'm sure pretty funny episodes will be made about me. Okay, so I'm gonna grab another Coke. All right, that's one Coke down. There's another Coke. Great American invention. Even Pepsi couldn't replicate Coca-Cola's success because they had, what do we call it? The first mover advantage. That's right, the first mover advantage. I'm gonna put my Coca-Cola down, have some fish stick, which fish sticks really go with anything. Does anyone know what fish sticks go with? If you do, put it in the comments below. Put it in the comments below if you know what fish sticks go with. All right. This is what the locals call, what they call fish. So I'm just gonna try. I'm gonna have a bite. It's okay. It's edible. It's a little salty. To compare, we usually have fish and chips with tartar sauce, a bit of lemon, and it's battered a little bit more. It's the batter's a little bit more crispy. So with the fish and chips that we're used to having. So yeah, that's the local version. Yeah, I'm gonna use this serviette. Oh, I'm gonna some coffee here, so might have that later. So moving on. Now, why couldn't Pepsi replicate Coca-Cola's success? Coca-Cola had first mover advantage, and that's the thing. It's a good thing to be first, right? In the private sector, we have what we call right of first refusal. That is, if you engage in a transaction where certain services, usually professional services, are exchanged. So we're talking about consultancy, finance, accounting, marketing. Usually not management, right? Usually not sales. Management is sort of usually, sometimes management is involved, and to be perfectly honest, even sometimes sales is involved. But yeah, I mean, the right of first refusal is essentially where you after having concluded, whether it be transactional, relational, or a little bit of both, having concluded that type of exchange, and the party that wants to initiate another similar exchange, or an exchange with similar and or different terms or conditions, has that right to engage again first. However, if the offer is refused due to, and this is where the S&D curves come in, which is supply and demand, due to market forces, right? And we go back. Where do we go back to? We go back to Smith's invisible hand, right? We go back to Smith's invisible hand. So um, so the market forces, so S&D curves, market forces, dependent on the market forces, if there is refusal, right? Then the next party engages in that transactional, transactional or relational exchange, right? But if there can be a continuance, if there is no, depending on the supply, right? Or depending on the supply, if there is no further, or depending on the demand, it really is a numbers game at that point. And so there needs to be that that understanding, when engaging in that when engaging in either transactional or relational exchange. So yeah. So moving on, let's talk about laws of diminishing marginal utility. All right. You have one chocolate, you eat it, feels great, it's good. You go on to the second one, that's good, yeah. And then you go on to the third one, and fourth, and fifth, and sixth. The utility isn't that great. And what do we mean by utility? So if we look at Mills, who was a utilitarian, utility can be defined as pleasure. We are and usually pleasure maximizing. And so if we continue to consume this, a unit of the same product on a repetitive basis, the pleasure experienced from that consumption is reduced. Not linearly. It is not a linear relationship. It is exponential. Exponential to it is exponential. And so that is the law of diminishing marginal utility. Moving on. Now, why, okay, think about this. Why are, for example, Swiss chocolates or Japanese chocolates better than some local chocolates? Why is that? Yes, there's a price in there. There's an indication of price. So price is an indication of quality. Why? Why is that? Because price is set by a combination of the production cost, which is the base cost. But that's not all. There are additional costs. So if we, Japanese or Swiss chocolates, why are they so great? Why are they, because of they're transported long distance, right? Imported from far away, right? Not everyone lives in Switzerland or Japan, right? They are the product, the initial product, the contents of the product, the materials to create that product, they are of a higher quality and they cost more. And then you have marketing costs. Now, production involves both human labor and capital. So don't forget that. Human labor and capital. Sometimes when production cycles or production processes are optimized, it is usually, not always, but usually almost entirely all capital. But they're usually almost always there is what we call a person in the loop, whether it be a mechanic to fix, to maintain the capital, which we can such as production machinery, right? So on top of all those costs, on top of the production costs, on top of the transport costs, right? There's sort of additional costs, right? There's sort of additional labor on top of that. We have, the cost for management, the cost for all the other professional staff, sales, marketing, and so forth, right? Back office, mid office, front office, right? We have to account for those costs, right? The cost for ensuring that the lights are kept on, whatever company whether it's a Swiss or Japanese chocolate company, the lights are kept on that building. Sometimes physical buildings are necessary, especially when engaging in transactional or relational exchanges. Right? That's important. That is important. And so. And so all those costs add up. And why is that product superior? That product is superior because A, it's got better packaging. The quality of the packaging is higher. The material, once again, it goes down to material, right? Is it more airtight? Is it more does it preserve the integrity of the product better? Right? We have to think about those factors. Once again, it's multifactorial. Okay? Now, this results in price being indicative of quality. Price indicative of quality, not necessarily equals to, but indicative. It is indicative of quality. Why? Why is it indicative? As I said, it's indicative of the production, not just the materials, the process, the integrity of the product, including the packaging, the transport of the product, and the marketing of the product. And how does marketing affect us? There is social utility to purchasing higher quality products. There is social utility, right? It's not simply a matter of status, but it is a matter of optimizing all those factors while purchasing from a retailer, or from a retailer where that standard of quality is guaranteed each time, each and every time, each time that purchase is made, right? And that is why branding costs more, because of that certainty of those features. And what is that feature? That feature is quality. That is why. Now, quality is not quantity. Okay? When production is at high volume, it is generally at low cost. Low cost, high volume approaches are usually not that successful unless it is marketed to lower socio-demographic quadrants or sectors, right? Um, or if or quintiles, right? Lower socio-demographic quintiles. Now, uh, I would guesstimate the bottom two quintiles where I'm from, shop at brands that are reminiscent of large sort of large um, department stores, right? Now, whereas, for that's not necessarily the case. Um, that's not necessarily the case uh, for other geodemographics. Specifically, if you think about certain other geodemographics, where where are how are those lower two quintiles? Where do those two lower quintiles uh, um, get their goods? I mean, you really have to understand how that operates, how that sort of demographic operates, because it's not complex. And here's the answer. It's very, very simple. The bottom two quintiles operate on price dependent features. The lower two quintiles operate, the bottom two quintiles operate on price dependent features. And what do we mean by price dependent? Very simply, they shop at the bottom of the barrel. And what do we mean by that? Because of the restriction of the restrictions as a result of their lack of education, lack of meaningful employment, lack of linguistic capacity, or even lack of capacity to engage in other geolocalities. And given their limited spending capacity, they then have to prioritize the most price dependent option as their most optimal option. Whereas we engage in the market in a manner where we seek utility as quality. And why is that? With education comes advancement. With advancement comes the capacity to reach success. And this is very much dependent on the capacity and ability to articulate oneself in the lingua franca. All right, that's Latin, lingua franca. Now, articulating oneself in that in an Anglo-European sense requires practice. One can't engage Anglo or European or European Anglo-Europeans, or Anglo or Europeans, or Anglo-European uh, people, in a manner where the bottom two quintiles do so. The type of interaction is it what does it do? It undermines confidence in local goods and services. It undermines confidence in local goods and services, and undermines the destination as a preferred location of travel. And so it is ununderstandable as to why the bottom two quintile operate in an irrational fashion to undermine their own interests. It is irrational. And what we can conclude from this is that the bottom two quintile, due to the lack of education, due to biological factors, due to sociological factors, are operate in a fashion that we cannot understand as rational, that we cannot define as rational. And this is due to their limited options. This is due to their limited linguistic capacity. This is due to their lack of success. And we can thereby conclude that there is a progressive devolution within the bottom two quintile. And what is the solution? What is the solution? The solution where we come from is for them to sit at home, receive government welfare, and to simply not bother the rest of society. That is the best optimal outcome. And so, where should the bottom two quintile go? Where should they be sent to? The most compassionate answer is to send them to places where they can receive welfare and not bother the rest of society. And occasionally we can feed them salad. All right. And so I'm going to have another Coke. Coca-Cola. I'm going to have another sip. Coke. And I'm going to have a bite of some, what the locals here call fish. Getting some fish. All right, so I think it's edible. All right, look at that. Should be edible. Okay, I'm gonna. A little bit salty. A little bit salty. You can use a serviette. This is what we call a serviette, right? Although our serviettes are usually a little bigger. Now, Now we're gonna have a bit of a break, and when I come back, we're gonna talk about we're gonna continue this discussion about the um, bottom two quintiles, and really what solution and what sort of how we can sort of identify the bottom two quintiles, how we can demarcate and delineate the appropriate sort of outcome for them that does not sort of undermine sort of the enlightenment values. All right, BRB. Oh, okay. Not gonna cut that. All right. Well, that's gone. That's fine. Uh, okay. Well, this is just for emergency. Fell down a bit, but it's just for emergency, just in case. All right. Because it's American food. Well, what the locals call American, what the locals think of as of American food. It's macaroni and cheese and some form of spiral pasta with mushroom. Yeah. So, all right, gonna have a bit of a break now. Okie dokie. Oh no. Oh no. All right. Okay. Gonna grab by the way, it's Coke. It's Coke Zero. If anyone's interested. So I'm gonna grab a bit of a Coke Zero. Got some bread and butter. Okay. Oh boy. Oh no. All right. Still kicking. Whew. That was scary, wasn't it, everybody? Just dropped some of my stuff. Okay, so back to the it's very strange. I think bottom two quintile do not understand sort of the importance of what we consider what we consider scientific precepts, including the method. So the method, the reason why the method is important is having that hypothesis and testing it with both control, a control and an experimental group. Now, having said that, a very quick disclaimer. Now, Now, y'all know we operate based on our federal, based on our federal, not just guidelines. They're not guidelines. They're regulatory. They're they have you know the level of regulatory regulatory protocols with respect to engaging in science. Now, these federal these regulatory protocols are quite strict, and any breach of them, will result in severe and usually immediate consequences. So you know, observationally, it is still under these guidelines. And so, yeah. So the thing is, let's look at the difference between principle-based IFRS and rules-based GAAP, right? Now, I prefer principles-based rule, but even with rules-based, there are principles that inform those rules. Well, what the bottom two quintile don't understand include a lack of understanding of those principles, and a lack of understanding of why those rules were created. And this is just an analogy. But the bottom two quintile generally don't have that type of education. They're not advanced enough to understand that context. They're not advanced enough to understand how that is differentiated. And if you look at sort of the sort of Myers-Briggs and the Big Five, which Myers-Briggs and the Big Five, you'd be able to sort of identify a set of patternistic behaviors that are indicative of potentially, and this is a hypothesis, anti-disestablishmentarian tendencies. Anti-disestablishmentarian tendencies. And so, how do we deal with the bottom two quintiles? How? What is the solution? The most compassionate solution and is to essentially provide them with some form of financial welfare so they can stay home, watch TV, and simply not bother anyone. Just stay out, just not engage with the rest of society, and let the rest of society, the rest of educated, civilized society, operate with normal functionality. Just normal. Just the top three quintiles know how to operate normally, right? If you look at the normal distribution curve, it's not that hard. Nobody, there's no need for any, for those below minus one standard deviation. It's there's simply no need. They're unusable. So the best option is for them to be paid to stay at home through welfare, watch TV, and occasionally, I think it's compassionate, we feed them salad. Right? Now, what more can we do? It's compassionate. It is compassionate. It's not a form of. It certainly isn't a. It provides them with a form well welfare, right? You know, it does affect the income and expenditures. It does. And it can be interpreted, not just interpreted, it can be interpreted as a tax burden. Which is why private enterprise and private sector operations have to be optimized in a way to ultimately desegregate the bottom 2 quintile from the top 3. And so that really is a solution. What more can be done at this juncture? What more can be done? Now I'm gonna have another drink of my Coke Zero, and gonna have some what the locals call fish. Coke Zero, zero sugar. Yeah, good stuff. So, yeah, it was, as I said before, 1920s doctor. Yeah. Doctors prescribed medicinal cocaine for medicinal purposes. It was, they had the intelligence and foresight to understand that, medicinal cocaine had medicinal purposes, and other geodemographics did not. Pepsi simply couldn't replicate the success of Coca-Cola because Pepsi didn't have the first mover advantage. But we've gone through all that, and now we're at the solution of how to sort out, how to determine, how to identify the bottom 2 demographics, right? The bottom 2 quintiles. I mean, but before there are, just before I proceed, there are localities that where cocaine is now legal. Yeah. Okay, so how do we identify how do we identify and how do we identify and desegregate the bottom 2 quintile from the top 3 quintile? Um, Look, if we look at the biology and genetics, if we look at the social factors, the social determinants, we should be able to identify them specifically. The sort of biology, you know, the you know there's the contour, there's sort of whether they're sort of endomorphic, whether they're whether there is facial symmetry, whether they're just drinking some Coca-Cola, whether there is whether the bone structure is indicative of either, you know, paleo or neo-paleolithic devolution, all right? Whether you know, there are certain, you know, whether there is a sort of a facial sort of behavioral pattern that's patternistic during vocal expressions, right? During vocal expressions, sort of like you know, whether, you know, whether these sort of like lower two bottom two quintile demographics, whether they're sort of expressing themselves in a way that could be interpreted by those, you know, in the top 3 quintile as potentially animalistic or with sort of a deep sharp tone in a decibel range that is non-nominal to those who are in the top 3 quintile. And so once again, do we really need those below -1 standard deviation? No. That truly is is it? How do we arrive at that conclusion? How do we arrive at understanding what to do? Lack of education, lack of financial or otherwise any other type of success. Lack limitations as a result of lack of capacity to engage, lack of linguistic capacity, lack of capacity to engage with other geolocalities, and a lack of a lack of spending capacity. What do? We can remedy the issue with the spending capacity. How do we do that? Via the provision of financial welfare. And what is the financial welfare to do? For them to essentially stay at home, not bother people, watch TV, and once in a while we can, you know, every now and then, it's compassionate to feed them salad. Um, but how do we sort them out? How do we sort them? Not just through vocal expressions that may be animalistic, not just through sort of facial features that may also be animalistic. Uh, almost to say non-mammalian, almost to say non-mammalian. However, how do we sort them out? Can we apply WAIV? We can. Can we apply MMPI? We can. We certainly can. Um, and so, these, can we, and have we witnessed already the outcome of Milgram? Oh, or what about Kinsey? And so, what is the conclusion? The conclusion, really, the most compassionate option, is to proceed to provide, to establish provisions of welfare, and so that the lower two quintile can stay home, not bother anyone, and the top three quintile can just get on with their day, with nominal functionality, with just engaging in professional activities, right? And what type of professional activities? I mean, we've talked about the exchange of currency for goods and services. We've talked about um, uh, right of first refusal in the context of supply and demand, and and the law diminishing marginal utility. So, I mean, what type of professional activity? I mean, certainly there's consultancy work and uh, uh, financial work. There's certainly accounting, marketing, uh, and management and sales. What is this? This is Coca-Cola, right? How? It's really interesting. What is Coca-Cola? What is Coca-Cola? If anyone knows, just put it down on the comment section. Okay? What is Coca-Cola? How would you define Coca-Cola as a product, as a good? What is the definition? Now, how I would define it as, it is a fast-moving consumer good. FMCG. Why is it a fast-moving consumer good? Production is capital intensive. All right, there's not much there aren't many. The production of Coca-Cola doesn't involve humans physically pouring things into into a container to create Coca-Cola. It is capital intensive. Now, being capital intensive, yes, it is relatively low cost. It is low cost. Well, can't tell you how much this Coca-Cola costs. Low cost, low cost, high volume, and that's not always a bad thing. There are some product categories where low cost, high volume does not operate very well. So I'll give you an example of something that has a higher cost and lower volume. So what I've got is I've got Marks and Spencer Diet Sparkling Cloudy Lemonade, right? So that is why is that higher quality? First, it's harder to produce, right? It's harder. So this is not bad. Coke Zero's not bad. Okay, it's got caffeine. It's caffeinated, right? It's caffeinated, and it's there's no sugar. It's good. It's refreshing, right? That's what Coca-Cola is. That's their selling point, right? Especially for Coke Zero. There's no sugar involved. Now, Diet Sparkling Cloudy Lemonade. So, what's the process for that? Obviously, there has to be some fruit involved. Processing that fruit and having that fruit be produced into the end product. And so, it takes a higher production cost to output the end product, and therefore, there is a higher retail cost for that product. And therefore, due to the more complex production, which is indicative of quality, the lemonade, the Diet Sparkling Cloudy Lemonade, and think about how complex that production production process is, right? It's higher quality, higher price point, less volume. Whereas Coca-Cola, yes, good quality, standardized quality, capital intensive production, higher volume, lower price point. Right. And so, on the comment below, you tell me which one. Let me know which one you think is a better drink. I'm gonna keep drinking Coke Zero. Coke Zero it is. But you tell me on the comments below. Now, I'm going to move on to bread. All right, we're going to talk about bread. All right. Now I've got two types of butter. Okay, I've got butter that is branded. There's the butter, slightly salted, and it's produced in Denmark. Okay, and I've got butter that has no label. Now, but there is more quantity of it. Obviously, the butter didn't magically appear in this container. It's from a container with higher volume. That is not single serving. Whereas this is a single serve of butter in a single serving container. Now, in the comments below, you let me know which butter you'd pick to use on your bread. I have several types of bread. Okay, I've got some toasted bread. I've got some toasted bread. I don't know what this word means, but it says soup plus. That's the English down there. Soup, S-O-U-P, P-L-U, space P-L-U-S, soup plus. Okay, that's toasted bread. Okay, it appears to be white bread. Smells like white bread. That's Luprac butter, slightly salted. Okay? Or that other butter. Now, which butter would you use? The butter from the higher volume container. It still looks nice, right? Appearances matter. Why do appearances matter? Because appearances are indicative of quality, as are price points. As are price points. And so there you have it. I can't tell you the price. You just have to use your calculating analytical mind that we all have as those of us above, at or above the third at or above the third quintile, the third quintile, right? As those of us, right, at or above the third quintile. Now, I've got a special. This is what the packaging for the white bread. Now it's thicker white bread, right? It's not skinny white bread or anything. And this is what came with it, right? This is single serve butter, okay? But the other butter came in this bag. Now what do you think? Now which bread would you like me to show you the bread? You want to see the bread, don't you? Nah, that's a surprise for later. Choosing between taking into account the law of diminishing marginal utility, choosing between white bread with butter, either the single serve butter or the butter from the higher volume container into the which one should be eaten first? And in what order should it be eaten? Noting the availability of white bread with a sweet substance called kaya. What is the answer to that? What is the optimum outcome? As we at or above the third quintile? No. At or above the third quintile. What is the correct order? Now, don't forget, I have, what do I have? I have what the locals call mac and cheese, and what the locals call it's spiral pasta and mushrooms. So what's your call? What first? What's the order? should I have this bread first with this butter, with this single serving butter, with the words SOUP space PLUS, Soup Plus, or the bread with the words, or the bread in the white bag. Put your answer in the comments below. All right, so gave you a little bit of time. So what I'm going to do before, I'm going to eat a little bit of bread, just a little bit. I'm going to try if it's any good. Try it. Or, now here's an option. Should I have the bread or not? I'm gonna have a bit of the bread. Bread with no butter. Let's discuss utility. If we are to optimize based on a utilitarian framework, what would be the optimal solution? To put butter on the bread. Oh, this is single serving butter. Now, before I continue, I'm gonna have a sip of some Coke Zero. Coke Zero, American brand. 1920s, the doctors had the foresight and intelligence to prescribe medicinal cocaine for medicinal purposes, whereas other geodemographics did not. And cocaine, medicinal cocaine, is now legal in certain localities. All right, so here's the butter. Oh, look at this. Surprise, surprise, surprise. What is that? What does it look like? Can anyone guess? Can you put down in the comments what it is? Now, let's do some probability math, okay? So if anyone remembers permutations, and I'm not that great at it, but let's do some probability. So I've shown you two packages. I've shown you two packages of foodstuff, and they both have had bread in them. I'm showing you a third. Now, if 2 out of 3 packages of foodstuff have bread in them. Given the limited information, and what do we call this? We call this imperfect information, right? Given the limited information available, what is the probability that the third package has bread in it? Now, you don't just have to rely on the numbers. It's not just a number game, right? You can analyze the shape. You can analyze the color. You can analyze the wrapping style of this packaging. So what is it? What do you think it is? Put it down on the comments as to what you think it is. So if 2 out of 3 packages have been bread, and this is the third one, what is the probability that it's bread? Once again, I'm not great with permutations, so if someone can give me the answer to the permutations, that would be great. I'm not great with permutations. All right. Do you want the answer? Maybe later. But someone do put the permutations in the comments below.